If yoga means union, why are we emphasizing the distinction between two things? I mean, if the goal is self-realization, oneness, non-duality, to see the same beingness in everything, why are we being told to distinguish the Purusha, pure consciousness, from Prakriti, everything that changes? It would make sense if you thought that was the opposite of oneness. But the thing is that we just aren't really very clear about what we are. And usually we believe that we're a mixture of different types of things. Most people think that they're a body and mind from which consciousness somehow appears, and that this consciousness is attached to the body and mind. So they think my awareness, my consciousness belongs to me, this body and mind. It began when my body was born, and it will come to an end when my body dies. But that's like light believing that it only comes from a light bulb, and that when that bulb breaks, the light will disappear forever. The light doesn't realize that its nature is actually just electricity, pure energy, and that the bulb is just a channel for that energy, which influences how the energy appears, how it's expressed. So initially it would be helpful if a teacher said to that light, you need to separate in your understanding the body and mind, in other words the glass of the light bulb and the filament of the light bulb maybe, you need to separate that from you, the light, the pure energy, because these two things are not attached to one another in the way you think they are. So we use this viveka, we make this distinction just to stop us from mixing up the eternal pure consciousness with the temporary matter. It's to stop the confused and mistaken belief that somehow we're an individually alive body and that that life itself will stop when the body stops functioning. But this practice of viveka, of separating pure consciousness from matter, is just the first stage of contemplation. The stage of apparent disunion, of unmixing, of discriminating one thing from another. And then when the distinction has been clearly seen, then the teacher can say, now meditate on the nature of electricity itself. Meditate on pure energy. And you'll see that it's everywhere. And it isn't just being created by a light bulb, which actually doesn't have the capacity to create anything. When the light meditates on this, when it contemplates this deeply, it realizes that of course its true essence was never the bulb, it was the pure energy all along. And then it begins to see that every bulb, every heater, every kettle, every fan is being created and animated by the same energy traveling through all of those different vehicles, those forms. And that actually those vehicles are themselves just a kind of solidified form of the very same energy as well. When that's realized, the sense of separation, of difference, completely disappears. Everything is reunited and seen as one.